Thank you.
You have spoken already on this motion. Honorable Kakuta Maimai. Honorable Maimai.
Yeah. They don't know even what
Honorable
Okay.
Kakuta Maimai.
Speaker,
The floor is yours.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to make my remarks in regard to this motion brought by Honorable Gidinji and Honorable Mule. Honorable Speaker, as we have seen that CDF is critical for development of our communities, and as you know, we have seen a lot of work that is visible on the ground is from the CDF, and that it is so important to reinstate CDF to make it possible for us to be able to ensure more children are enrolled in schools. As we speak right now, there are so many children at home who have not been able to go back to school simply because they have not been able to get the fees they need to go back to school. In pastoral communities like in Kajiado, with the ongoing drought, a severe drought is going on, and normally the parents have to sell goats and cows to send to school. But considering this severe drought, a lot of children are home. They have not been able to go back. And CDF can be a lifesaver for many families and children who wants to go back to school. And therefore, I express my support, make sure that CDF, NGCDF has been reinstated to make sure that more children are able to go to school. Honorable Speaker, when I came to Parliament, I promised my constituents that I have a goal to build a secondary school in every location of our constituency. Because I know secondary education or high school, there's a big shortage in our constituency. And I promise my constituents that we are going to build more schools, more secondary schools, and making sure that every location have received a high school. Without CDF, that dream of many of our children in our constituency will not be able to have secondary schools in their locations. We have also heard many other leaders talking about the importance of making CDF even elaborate to make sure that as much as we cover so much about building of classrooms, aiding children with school fees, it will also be good to include the water project so that through CDF we can also commission water projects, whether it's drilling of boreholes, equipping of boreholes, and even doing piping water in some of these very remote and dry areas of our land. Therefore, CDF is really critical to the development of our communities and our constituencies. And therefore, I also add my support to make sure that CDF is reinstated right away so that our children can return to go to school and we can begin the work of building schools in our communities, drilling more boreholes in our communities, piping more water in our communities, because we have seen the work of CDF, NGCDF is even more visible than the work that is done by many county governments. And a combination of projects in schools from NGCDF and the county government, we can see a lot of development being done. Therefore, I basically rest my point saying that I strongly support reinstating of the NGCDF to make it possible for our constituents to be able to have more schools and to have funding for our children so they can return back to school. And lastly, I was also actually hoping that the national government and our president can actually declare and issue an order asking schools, particularly secondary schools, not to send the kids back home to go get school fees, because in places like in my constituency, Kajiado East, there's so much of desperation right now because of the many cows that are dying, and sending the kids back to school to seek for school fees. It's like sending them back forever, because they cannot come back because their parents don't have the cows to sell, they don't have the gold to sell. So we should actually encourage and advise the schools to keep the children at school and allow them to sit for exams until when the situation has improved. Well, on that note, I would like to say that I wish to see NGCDF restated right away, and the funding issued out by Treasury, so that we can begin the work of rebuilding our communities that have been devastated by the drought. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I donate my time to my neighbor right here.
The Honorable Lillian Kogo. Is she in the chamber? The Honorable Felix Odiwor. The Honorable Felix Odiwor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
Have you spoken on this?
No, I haven't spoken on this.
Go ahead, Honorable Member.